Welcome back to The Explainer. We spend a lot of time talking about what's inside ourselves. But today, we're going to flip that script. We're going outside the cell, past the muscles and bones, to discover the incredible, unseen scaffolding that literally holds every single one of us together. Let's get into it.
So, let me ask you a question. What's really holding you together? What's the glue for your trillions of cells that makes you, well, you? And if you're thinking it's just your skin or your skeleton, that's only part of the story. That's the finished building. We're about to look at the mortar, the rebar, the very framework between every single brick. The best way to wrap your head around this is to imagine your body as this massive metropolis. Every single one of your cells is a citizen, and that space in between them, it's not empty. No way. It's a bustling hidden city, and it's called the extracellular matrix, or the ECM for short.
So let's take a tour of Cell City. And believe me, this place has everything. We're talking steel beam skyscrapers for strength, elastic bungee cords for flexibility, a super sophisticated plumbing system, even a citywide communications network that keeps every single citizen connected.
Okay, so here's the textbook definition. The ECM is this incredibly complex web of proteins and carbs that fills all the gaps between our cells. But what does that really mean? It means it's providing both the physical scaffolding, the actual structural support, and all the vital utilities, the biochemical support that our little cell citizens need to do their jobs and thrive.
All right, first up, let's meet the two superstar engineers of our city's infrastructure. These guys are responsible for a really fundamental balancing act, the ability to resist being torn apart and the ability to snap right back into shape. This is the story of Stretch and Sprish.
On one side, you've got collagen. You've heard of it, right? Think of it like the steel rebar in a concrete building. It gives our tissues immense tensile strength, so they don't just pull apart. Then, on the other side, you've got its amazing counterpart, elastin. This stuff is the city's bungee cord. It's what gives things like our skin, our lungs, and our blood vessels that absolutely crucial ability to stretch out and then just snap right back. And get this, the flexibility of any part of your body is basically just dictated by the ratio of elastin to collagen.
And what's really wild about elastin is just how durable it is. You make most of it when you're a baby, and it is literally built to last your entire life. Its secret weapon is this totally unique molecular structure called a desmosine crosslink. Picture 4 separate protein chains being locked together into this incredibly stable formation, and that whole thing is wrapped in a sheath of other fibers like fibrillin, creating a material so resilient that, honestly, its breakdown is one of the things that limits how long we can live. It's that important.
Okay, so we've got strength and we've got stretch. That's covered. But our cell city also needs some serious hydration and cushioning to protect it from getting squashed. And for that, we need to meet the city's water management system, the proteoglycans.
Proteoglycans are just these incredible molecules. So you have a central protein core, but shooting off from it are these super long, bristly chains of sugars. They're called glycosaminoglycans, or JAGs for short. The whole thing really does look just like a giant bristly bottle brush.
So how in the world did these gags create that squish? It's genius, really. Think of them as molecular drama queens. First, they are just loaded with negative charges. So all those little bristles on the brush are constantly pushing away from each other, forcing the whole molecule to puff out and take up a massive amount of space. But then, all that negativity acts like a magnet for positive ions, which in turn attract a huge entourage of water molecules. All that water creates this perfect, hydrated, jello-like gel that gives incredible cushioning against pressure. It's why the cartilage in your knees can take a pounding.
Okay, so we've got our rebar, we've got our bungee cords, and we've got our jello cushions. Awesome. But how do the citizens, the actual cells, plug into all this city infrastructure? For that, we need our master connectors. They're kind of like the city planners and the postal service of the ECM all rolled into one.
This is a really fundamental problem, right? A cell can't just be floating around in there. It needs to be anchored to the matrix to function, to survive, and to communicate with its neighbors. So how does it grab on? Say hello to fibronectin. Its name literally comes from the Latin words for connecting fiber. It's not subtle. This is the essential adapter protein, the ultimate middleman that links our cell citizens directly to that collagen framework we were talking about. And the way this works is just so elegant. Okay, so your cells have these special receptor proteins on their surface called integrins. You can think of them like little cellular hands reaching out into the matrix. Now, fibronectin has a special sequence, a little motif, that's like the perfect handshake for those integrin hands. Then on its other end, fibronectin grabs right onto a collagen fiber. It's the perfect bridge, cell to integrin to fibronectin to collagen. In this connection, it's so much more than a physical anchor. It's how a cell literally feels its surroundings and gets signals about what to do next: grow, move, or even self-destruct.
Now, some parts of Cell City need a bit more of a specialized foundation. Think about key structures like your skin, your blood vessels, or your nerves. They're all built on top of this thin, super dense sheet of ECM called the basal lamina. It's like the specialized concrete foundation that you'd pour for the city's most important buildings.
And the chief architect of this special foundation is a protein called laminin. Laminin molecules are amazing. They link up with each other, with a special type of collagen, and directly with the cell's receptors. They form this strong, supportive meshwork that organizes entire sheets of cells. It's both a super sticky substrate and a tough barrier that can resist being pulled apart.
So, we've built our magnificent Cell City. It's complex, it's beautiful, it's strong. But what happens when the infrastructure starts to fail? What happens when there are tiny mistakes, mutations, in the genes that code for these absolutely critical ECM parts?
But when a component in this intricate city fails, the results can be just devastating. A tiny mutation in fibrillin 1, which helps organize elastin, can cause something called Marfan syndrome, which leads to dangerously flexible joints and life-threatening heart problems. A failure in laminin can cause a severe skin condition that makes it incredibly fragile. And if the enzymes that are supposed to recycle those GAGs are faulty, you get a condition called Hurler syndrome.
See, without the ability to break down and recycle those big GAG molecules, they just start to pile up inside the cell's recycling centers. They cause these compartments to swell up, crushing everything else inside the cell, which leads to catastrophic organ failure. And as this quote makes crystal clear, the consequences are incredibly severe. It just goes to show how critical all this unseen maintenance work really is.
Okay, so let's pull all this together. After seeing how it's built and what happens when it breaks, why does this hidden city, this matrix between all of our cells, truly matter? If you take one thing away from this explainer, let it be this: the extracellular matrix is not just some passive inert scaffolding. That space between our cells isn't empty. It's a dynamic, intelligent, and absolutely essential environment.
The ECM is an active player. It dictates the shape of our tissues, it relays signals that control how our cells behave, it cushions our joints, it acts as a physical barrier to stop pathogens, and it's absolutely critical for development and for healing wounds. It is an indispensable player in pretty much every single aspect of our biology.
Think about it. Our ECM shapes our health from the very moment we're born. And that brings up a really fascinating question. If the matrix is the biological language that tells our cells how to build and maintain our bodies, could learning to speak that language be the key to one day truly rebuilding ourselves? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us.